This aircraft was designed when slide rules were cutting-edge technology, when jet engines were still a daring experiment, and when the world lived under the constant shadow of nuclear war. More than 70 years later, it's still flying combat missions. Not in a museum, not as a trainer, but as an active, frontline, strategic bomber. This is the story of the B-52 Stratofortress, the airplane that outlived the Cold War, the aircraft that refuses to become obsolete, born for a different world. The B-52 first flew in 1952, at the height of Cold War tensions. The United States needed a bomber that could carry nuclear weapons across oceans, fly higher than enemy defenses could reach, and deliver overwhelming retaliatory force. Speed wasn't the priority. Stealth didn't exist yet. What mattered was range, payload, and reliability. Boeing's answer was enormous. A swept-wing, 8-engine bomber, capable of flying nearly 9,000 miles, without refueling and carrying up to 70,000 pounds of weapons. It was built for a war no one wanted to fight, but one everyone feared might happen at any moment. A giant in the sky. Even today, the B-52 looks oversized next to modern jets. Length, 159 feet. Wingspan, over 185 feet. Max takeoff weight, around 488,000 pounds. Its wings are so long and flexible that their tips visibly bend during flight. On the ground, they droop. In the air, they rise like a bird, stretching its wings. This flexibility isn't weakness. It helps absorb turbulence and reduces stress on the airframe. It's one reason the B-52 structure has survived for generations. 8 engines and a Cold War party trick. Hanging under those massive wings are 8 Pratt & Whitney TF-33 turbofan engines. Each produces roughly 17,000 pounds of thrust. They aren't modern, they aren't fuel efficient, but they are famously durable. During the Cold War, B-52 crews sat on constant nuclear alert. If the order came, they had to launch fast, even if ground equipment wasn't available. So the aircraft had a dramatic backup method, the cartridge start, or cart start. A cartridge, similar to an oversized shotgun shell, was inserted into the engine's starter system. When fired, it released high-pressure gas that spun the engine's compressor, bringing it to life in seconds. The result was unforgettable. Huge plumes of smoke blasting from all 8 engines as the bomber roared awake. It looked like controlled chaos, and it meant the aircraft could be airborne in minutes. Most aircraft rotate sharply, nose rising before liftoff. The B-52 barely seems to tilt. That's because of 2 unusual design choices. First, it uses a bicycle landing gear layout. Instead of 2 main gear under the wings, the B-52 has 2 large gear assemblies aligned along the fuselage, with small outrigger wheels on the wings for balance. Second, its wings are mounted at a high angle of incidence. Even while the fuselage looks level, the wings are already angled upward, producing lift. So instead of dramatically pitching up, the bomber simply gathers speed, and then lifts smoothly into the air, landing sideways on purpose. Landing is even stranger. Because the main gear is arranged in line, crosswinds can push the aircraft sideways. Most planes lower one wing into the wind. The B-52 does something different. Its landing gear can pivot before touchdown. This allows the aircraft to fly toward the runway with its nose pointed into the wind, a crabbed approach, while the wheels remain aligned straight down the runway. From the control tower, it looks like the bomber's landing sideways, but the wheels touch perfectly straight. It's one of the most unique landing techniques in aviation, stopping a 500,000 pounds. Once on the ground, the work isn't over. At heavy landing weights, the B-52 may need 7,000 feet or more of runway to stop. To help, a drag parachute deploys from the tail, adding aerodynamic braking and reducing stress on the wheel brakes. As the chute blossoms behind the aircraft, the massive bomber slows from highway speeds to a taxi roll in a cloud of dust and heat shimmer, keeping a legend airborne. An aircraft designed in the early 1950s demands serious maintenance. Engines are frequently swapped out and sent to overhaul depots. Structural crews constantly inspect for corrosion and fatigue. Some replacement parts must be hand-fabricated because the original manufacturers no longer exist. Yet the B-52 remains airworthy because of relentless inspection, upgrades, and modernization. It's less like maintaining a car, and more like preserving a flying piece of industrial history that still has a job to do. Inside the cockpit, a flying time capsule. Climb into a B-52 cockpit and you step back in time. Rows of round dials, analog gauges, and physical switches fill the panels. While modern digital displays have been added, the aircraft still relies heavily on older electromechanical systems. This isn't just nostalgia. Analog systems are predictable when they fail, resistant to electromagnetic interference, easier to troubleshoot in the field. A typical crew includes 5 members: pilot, co-pilot, radar navigator, navigator, electronic warfare officer. On long missions, they manage fuel, navigation, communications, defensive systems, and weapons, sometimes for flights lasting over 12 hours. From nuclear bomber to missile truck. From nuclear bomber to missile truck. The B-52's mission has evolved dramatically. Originally, it was meant to drop nuclear bombs from high altitude. Later, it trained for low-level penetration to evade radar. In Vietnam, it flew massive conventional bombing missions. Today, it serves primarily as a standoff weapons platform, launching cruise missiles and precision-guided munitions from hundreds of miles away, far outside the reach of many defenses. The airplane stayed the same. The mission kept changing. That adaptability is the real reason it survived.
That's supposed to lock it in place there.
Now, the Stratofortress is getting one of the biggest upgrades in its history. The aging TF-33 engines are being replaced with modern Rolls-Royce F130 turbofans, improving fuel efficiency, reliability, and range. New radar, communication systems, and digital avionics are also being installed. With these upgrades, the B-52 is expected to remain in service into the 2050s. That means pilots flying it in the future may be operating an aircraft older than their grandparents. The B-52. Stratofortress is not the fastest bomber. It isn't stealthy, and it doesn't look futuristic. But it may be the most adaptable combat aircraft ever built. Decade after decade, mission after mission, upgrade after upgrade, the Stratofortress has proven that good engineering doesn't age, it evolves. More than 70 years after its first flight, this Cold War giant still stands watch in the modern world. A bomber built for yesterday, still ready for tomorrow.